I do see a familiar face on screen because we're going to have a fireside chat with Spotify's own Rak Patel and Amy Butterworth from Tesco. And they will be discussing why, if you pardon my pun, but why the future of audio actually is now. So I know many of you are interested in new opportunities that this channel presents, so it'd be very interesting to hear from Rak and Amy a little bit more around this. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Clem. Great hosting from you today. And I do know that you're very Italian, so I can confirm that Clem is very Italian. So hello, everybody. Thank you for having us. I'm Rak Patel. I'm head of sales for Spotify across the UK and Pan-EMEA. And, you know, to really round off the day, it's critical that we hear from an advertiser. And the advertiser that we have is one of the most, if not the most progressive of advertisers we have in the UK, and that's Tesco's. And I'm delighted to introduce you all to Amy Butterworth. Hello, Amy.
Hi, Rak. Good to be here today. It's
great that you've joined us today. So could you introduce yourself and tell everyone that's listening in and watching what you do at Tesco's?
Yeah, of course. So hi, everyone. I'm Amy Butterworth. I'm media manager at Tesco. So I've been with the company about 3 years now. And I guess my role, it's a really fun role. It's kind of outside of the day-to-day getting campaigns out the door, which, as you can imagine, it's happening rapidly at the moment with the year we've had. But it's kind of actually more how we work with new partners, how we best plan and buy our media, working really closely with our agency MediaCom on that. So it's a fun role, looking at the landscape, looking for new opportunities and bringing them into Tesco.
Brilliant, great role. And again, thank you so much for joining us. So, look, I want to start with, you've sort of alluded to a bit of the crazy year that we've had over the last 7 or 8 months or so. How has life changed for you, you know, in these COVID times? You know, are you more efficient? Are you yearning for human interaction? What's going on?
Interesting, isn't it? I mean, first few weeks working from home, I thought, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? I had no routine whatsoever, and I think that's what I've really learned. I think with a routine, I think I can be super efficient at home. So in about 45 minutes, I'll be heading out for my lunchtime walk, which I try to do every day. Headphones on, round the park, and just try and disconnect a bit. So I think having a routine has made me, appreciate working from home. But yes, I really do miss that interaction, those water cooler moments, I think they call them, don't they? Where you chat in the kitchen about what's going on, how you're feeling. Oh, can I quickly mention this project to you? It's all that sort of stuff I'm really missing. As good as, you know, all these conferencing services are, you don't quite get the same.
I'm totally with you on that. So let's jump straight in, you know, and some might say this audio renaissance. I think we're mainstream now, audio, and you know, there's really been an evolution of the format, and you know, we obviously see broadcast and digital sides coming together, and streaming becoming really sort of mainstream. How has that evolution of streaming impacted the way Tesco and you sort of think about, you know, audio as part of your marketing mix?
I mean, we're quite fortunate. Audio has probably always been an important part of our marketing mix. I mean, traditionally, probably more for trade messages, so selling stuff and promoting offers, for example. So that's always been in place. But I think what we're seeing more now is they're actually doing more brand-led activity through audio. And I think that's probably a few reasons: the reach we can get with audio. And we've seen brilliant numbers throughout this crisis in terms of radio listening and audio listening. So huge reach, brilliant frequency. And so it's a key part. But I think what's changed as well for us is understanding sort of the amount of data that we can apply and be really smart and take advantage of the audio space, which we can't always do with other channels. So whereas before with something like a baby event, which is quite targeted, you'd want to speak to parents or new parents, we might not have chosen audio because it traditionally is quite a mass reach channel. Now, with the level of targeting data we can apply, it's the perfect channel. So really exciting times in terms of what we can do, and I'm sure we'll go on to talk about it, but just context is becoming really important on all plans.
Well,
you tick that box.
Absolutely, and let's carry that sort of that on. I'd love you to dig a little bit deeper on the context side. You know, I've known for, as does the team, you know, how important context is for Tesco's and you and so on. You know, in landing that right message, right? Chiara talks about it: right message, right time, right setting. You know, it's well documented. How has that really sort of influenced your approach when it comes to your strategy around audio advertising?
I mean, we're true believers in probably context in a lot of channels. Done a lot of testing actually to prove that context, being in the right context, has better effects, you know, in terms of attention, receptivity to the message, etc. So we know it works, but I think being able to take advantage of it is what we need to do. So I think podcasts have been brilliant for this. So we've done a few campaigns this year, because if you've got a back to school campaign targeting parents, and there's some brilliant parenting podcasts out there, so why not marry the two together? It's you know, an obvious solution. So yeah, really taking advantage of that. But I think what's also interesting is the flip side. So we're sometimes finding out new things about our audiences that we might not have otherwise understood. So when you look, wow, this poker playing audience interacted with our advertising. Okay, there's a new segment there. Or
Fantastic.
A crude example, but loads of insight I think you can get as well.
And yeah, because that's something we talk about a lot, you know, our streaming intelligence and so on. Is that something that, you know, readily comes available to you, or is that something that clearly your partners like Mediacom and so on are mining the data constantly? How do you get to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Mediacom pivotal in that, and you know, straight after a campaign, or during campaign probably, yeah. and straight after, we're analysing, right, who engaged with this, and understanding where the new opportunities are. And then so you might see this new segment, didn't think they'd be interested in this campaign. You try it out on the next campaign, again, it goes on to perform really well. So that data is invaluable to us. It's just ensuring we can act on it quick enough.
Fantastic. So let's pivot a little bit. What do you look for in a audio partner? Obviously, there's quite a few audio partners that are on the bill today, but what is it that you look for? Yeah,
I guess especially this year, agility, flexibility is super important. So this week we're putting out new messages in market. We're changing them. We're having to adapt on a weekly basis based on the current economy, etc. So a partner that is willing to adapt and flex with us is brilliant. A partner that can provide insight, like we've just talked about, and provide that insight quite rapidly, because as I've said it many a time, we're changing things quite quickly. So that's really important. And I guess it's transparency as well. And this is probably when it comes down to measurement. I think measurement is quite tricky sometimes with audio, especially if you've kind of got traditional and digital audio on plans. So any partners that can help us measure and be really transparent in that measurement, take us on the journey, we really value.
Perfect, great. Now, you've mentioned podcasts, and we know at Spotify that you are a big fan of podcasts. So from a marketer perspective, you know, how are you thinking about it? You sort of touched on it a little bit there. You know, is it something that's top of your radar, or you know, how do you sort of?
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember when I started at Tesco about 3 years ago, I remember asking this question to our agency, saying, well, I've started listening to a few podcasts. What do you think? And we were kind of saying, oh, it's quite limited reach. Ooh, not yet, you know, let's see how it goes. And fast forward a couple of years, they're booming, aren't they? So we see a role for them. And I think I sometimes compare podcasts to like the influencers of audio. So if you can find a podcaster that is credible, they're trusted, we can, you know, deliver a message with authenticity, then why not? So it's fine if you find the right partner. We think there's opportunities there. So, you know, when we partner with the Shag Married Annoyed podcast,
of course.
And so Rosie Ramsey, being a mum, struggling to know what to cook, perfect person to talk about the options available at Tesco. And that was for a Father's Day campaign. And obviously she's presenting it with her husband. So there's loads of really just natural references there. But I think, the challenge we're still going to face on podcasts, but we're definitely working through, and our partners have been really good with this, is measurement. So how do we measure the effectiveness of them? But more and more options becoming available for that, which is good.
Absolutely. And as you're very aware, you know, at Spotify, that's something that we're looking to actually roll out later this year across the region. streaming ad insertion, which I'm doing a little plug here, streaming ad insertion, which is centered around effectiveness and measurement tools for the marketer in the podcast space, because we recognize that's something that you absolutely need in order for true sort of scale. This is all about future of audio. What excites you about the future of audio?
It's not going anywhere, is it? After this year,
Hopefully not. No.
On the increase. I mean, it's just absolutely booming. So I'm excited about the future of audio. I think there's a lot of opportunities. I've talked about it a bit. Data is, I think, where the future lies. How do you make really smart decisions based on data? So how do you, I think you guys have been really good at this with some of the campaigns you worked on. So I love the This Girl Can example, where you're analysing data, analysing playlists, and analysing behaviours to then serve a relevant message. I think that's really smart and a space we should be exploring even more, as we onboard more and more data. Smart speakers, I guess, that's quite interesting, isn't it? More people at home, more people buying these speakers. I mean, I think we see a resurgence every Christmas, don't we? Someone will get them as a gift. And how do you react to that? Do you change your creative message? That's something we're looking into at the moment. Should we be adapting creative based on device? So I think there's lots of opportunities. It's just keeping on top of them and being able to adapt quickly enough.
And how, yeah, exactly that. How do you sort of think about that? Do you think about that as that this is something I'd like to test over the next 6 months or a year and so on, and then see, is that the way you're sort of continually always sort of looking at, particularly these, future innovations and so on?
I guess we have like a test and learn plan for the year. So we kind of know, right, this is on our roadmap, but there's always new stuff being added. And so we've kind of got this roadmap laid out, and then there'll be relevant campaigns that come our way, and we think, Valentine's Day, right, that is the perfect time to test smart speakers, for example. And work with MediaCom to put quite a robust testing structure in place, because I guess there's no point testing if you're not going to learn and adapt and implement it going forward. So always looking for new things.
Great. Right, now can you believe we're almost out of time? So crazy. We could have gone on for much longer, but I want to let's finish on your personal favorites. So why don't we do that a little bit to close us out on? So what are you listening to at the moment, and how much do you love podcasts? Is it all podcasts at the moment, or is there a bit of music in there?
I'm mainly podcasts now. So as I say, on my lunchtime walk happening in roughly half an hour, I'm loving foodie podcasts. It's not just because I work at Tesco, but I love a bit of Jessie Ware. I know she's been around for a few years now. Jessie Ware and her mum on their Table Manners podcast, brilliant. James Acast's podcast, Off Menu. So really similar premise. It's people talking about the food they love, but I think it's brilliant. And I listen there thinking, what would mine be? That keeps me entertained. And I do love a bit of true crime as well.
True crime.
Yeah, I think it's so gripping. And I think you just get so lost in it. I'll finish my walk, get back in and think, oh no, 10 minutes more, please. So that's what's on my radar at the moment.
An interesting fact for you on true crime. So it's one of our biggest categories on the platform, and 70% of those that listen to true crime are women, actually. So it's
there you go.
It sort of really sways that way. Amy, that went so quickly, and we all know how busy you are, and particularly Q4 is quite a busy quarter for you and so on. So we're so appreciative of you taking out the time to come and join us today. That was incredibly insightful, and thank you so much from me, from Spotify, and obviously everyone at the IAB and those that are listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rak. That was great. Really good to chat.
Take care. Bye now.